Thanks everybody for coming out. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we do have a quorum.
Yep, we have quorum. We are just missing Elliot, Andy, but with all four of you here, it's still quorum.
Yep.
Notice was posted in accordance with Florida State statutes 48 hours in advance. And, it was posted at the entrances in the community and at the pool. Okay, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so if any of you are recording this meeting, it will need to be announced, and if it is being recorded, you'll need to, there will be no disturbances if you are recording the meeting.
Is that directed towards me?
It is directed towards everybody.
I am recording the meeting for audio for transparency and documentation.
Okay, perfect.
and so am I.
Beautiful, thank you guys. Okay. We have approval of previous meeting minutes from April 24th, 2025.
I have just one correction here under the ARC committee report. I gave that report, it was 3 open applications at that time. 2 of them were from the same owner. One of those 2 applications, which was for planting Eureka palms inside the setback, was canceled by the owner before the ARC voted on it.
I will make that note. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the minutes with those changes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, so we have the manager report that you all received for April. You do have a new assistant manager, Samantha Soto. Is your assistant manager, Tatiana, is still with Access, but she just took a different position within the company. Okay, I attached the Art Plumbing, quotes that were received. Your CD accounts had been addressed by Susan, so I informed you of that. The board meeting 2024, did end in an altercation between the homeowner and the board member. The meeting was adjourned, and the incident was referred to the association's attorney for guidance on how to proceed appropriately. According to the report presented at the April meeting, the finding that was sent to the finding committee was, dismissed. Based on what was said to us, it was incorrect interpretation of the violation notice. And it was not due to the length of grass, it was a new owner of the house, and that's why they, denied the fine. However, the violation was actually for weeds and dying sod. Okay, it was also discovered that 2 members of the committee were never officially appointed by the board of directors at the last meeting. We also sent that to clarification, to the association's attorney. Yellowstone was scheduled to begin on May 11th. I also attached the annual plan option that was provided by Yellowstone. We sent the RFP painting to Harrison Contracting, Access Maintenance, and I cannot pronounce that. Escamillo Painting. Was requested by the board for all reasons of the sidewalk RFP and one consolidated document to ensure accuracy and efficiency. We're waiting on the final confirmation from the Claremont BD for the Q&A at the pool. And I did send contact information for Louis Asher to Vice President, the Vice President to Anthony. And the survey regarding the Yellowstone, that wasn't really a survey, that was an e-blast that was sent out for owners just to send back stuff through their Vantica. And then we're currently working on identifying an alternate towing company for the community and looking into reviewing a bulletin board. The golf cart policy was also repairs to the basketball court and the tennis court. I went out on violations for April 8th and April 17th. You guys have any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
I will note, just so the board knows that, the house on Kingston Ridge that was in question last month, the new owner is actually starting to take action. I've seen him out there working on his irrigation system, and he had somebody out there yesterday measuring for what looked like maybe replacing sod or something. So fingers crossed, especially for, the next door neighbors to that property, that, they'll finally have somebody that takes care of that, home.
That's good then.
Yeah.
Yes, I will also add, the owner did reach out to me as well and requested, an extension on the courtesy notice that was sent, till June 9th, because they are fixing the sod and removing the weeds and the trees, but they're having their windows replaced. So they wanted to wait for that prior to completing the sod, so that it didn't get messed up. So, the violation you'll see is on monitored extension.
I have a question about, in repairs and maintenance. I saw the RFP you had done for the basketball court, the tennis court.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one for the sidewalk?
The sidewalk is the one that it was all together, so it's still all together with the one we separated. So that's the one where Mike and Jack sent that nice report. So you guys just need to
Oh,
review
right.
that and make sure that that's exactly what you want on the sidewalk repair, and I'll create a new RFP with those.
I need to go back and look
And
at
we
it.
counted the ones that could be brown, the ones that needed replacing, and the ones that needed, cracked and needed replacing, and counted them out.
Are we talking about the sidewalks now, or?
Yeah, sidewalks.
Okay, so have we resolved that the piece of sidewalk going through the driveway is counted as part of the driveway? Because the thickness of that concrete was poured with the driveway, it's thicker than the rest of the sidewalk, and it was always the intention as part of that. If we're gonna start replacing pieces of sidewalk that run through the driveway, we need to double our budget, because we're gonna be spending a lot of money as wear and tear due to the homeowner, and should not be a HOA responsibility.
Yep. So, one of the attorneys at, Larson Slayton said, no, that falls on the homeowners. And then, Tom Slayton said, no, that's the association.
Right, but I
So-
also sent him an email asking to go back and look at notes, because he was the attorney of record, and I know the conversation took place at the time, that it was the entire apron, including that piece. And according to the law that the other attorney cited, that if the concrete is poured differently, to different dimensions, that it be construed as part of the driveway, and I think that's, because, and I think that, we validated that the piece of sidewalk going through the driveway is poured with the driveway to the same thickness as the driveway, differently than the rest of the sidewalks.
Well, and it also matches up exactly with the dimensions of the driveway and the apron.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm with you that it looks like it should be, the responsibility of the homeowners to maintain both that portion of the sidewalk and the, apron. So, just like it's the whole driveway, it's just one thing.
That's the way it's poured, and that's the way it was intended.
Yep, I'll bug them again tomorrow and,
But if we feel that way, and there's consensus, and one of the attorneys said that it's different, I think we should make that an official position of the board.
yep. I agree.
Okay, so can I make a motion to that effect?
I don't know if we have to, because it's identified in the, First Amendment.
Okay,
What
well,
that-
that's fine, I just wanna make sure we're on the same page, because if the association starts having to pay for repairs on parts of driveways, like I said, double the budget.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, let me check back with him and try to iron this out so that we can get the legal opinion, squared away, and then we'll know from there. And at that point, if he goes the way we think he should, then we won't have to make any motion, it'll be set.
Yeah, and anyway, one attorney already said that we have cause for doing it that way, so,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, the concrete is different than the sidewalk concrete.
Yep. Well, and you were there.
I was.
All right, it's your turn, Lynn.
Okay. So, guess that copy of guys. And I went through it, and so I wanna start out saying that I went through it this month. I had a few items that I pointed out, that I emailed Susan Royce, who's doing our accounting now. But for the most part, I mean, she's done a real good job. The financials are cleaner than they've been probably in several years, and I was really thrilled. And the questions I had, she responded back to me already and made the adjustments. So I'll point those out as we're going. So, as much as I say when there's something that's not right, I just wanna acknowledge when it is.
Excellent, thank you.
I can hear you. I'm old enough to tell.
I said it.
Well, somebody, I heard out there someplace. And it's not the first, I said it last month, but you didn't come.
I didn't come.
So in any event, the first page is the balance sheet. It's all of the assets and liabilities, and they're pretty clean. Everything appears to be in order, and have any issues with those. The second two pages are the actual income and expenses, and I highlighted here some of the things that I had questions on. And so, if we go on the first page, there's a bad debt entry there of $26.53. We have a bad debt reserve, it didn't belong there, should be moved there, and I believe she's already made an adjustment for that. The second item isn't an issue, but to just, for everybody's awareness, we have a charge this month of $855.20 for meeting room expense, but you see that several months before that, there were none, so I guess, mind you, paying for it, and you get reimbursed in a group, and so it hits when it hits.
Right.
But I also, as I mentioned before the meeting, I'll mention it again now, that it's official time, we're paying for the screen. I don't think the amount they're charging us is worth it to have that up on the screen. I'd rather make an extra half dozen copies and pass them out than pay $37.50 plus tax for that to sit there. I mean, it's $500 a year.
Yep.
So that's that. On moving downwards to social committee, there was a charge of $147.66. That also I sent a note to Susan, didn't belong there. That was the cost for a new sign for the garage sale. So it belonged in the, we have a GL account for signs, so it needed to be moved, and she is relocating that. And so I just, a question that, I mean, what happened to the old sign that we needed to spend $150?
It was all falling apart, torn.
I think she could have no more garage sales. I hate garage sales. Alright, moving down to repairs and maintenance, there was, 1949 on repairs and maintenance, I believe it was electric repairs for the lights out in the, area.
Pool, parking lot and all that stuff.
Yeah. On security service, we did get a credit this month, I don't know if it's the right amount, I don't know if it's, Tony, if you looked at it or whatnot. It's typically we pay $52.51 a month, this month it was like $2,600, so we've got like a $2,600 credit.
Yeah, I have an outstanding question to them regarding county capital, that's on the.
So it's nice that we got a credit, but it's about half of 1 month, and I know we had a lot of problems for a long time, so, you know, I'm sure you'll make sure that it's appropriate. I had a couple questions down in landscaping. We had charges of $29.50 for irrigation repair, and it says that we added a pump, and $21.75 that we put in some shrubs, but I don't know, maybe I missed it, but I don't recall having discussing that or having an action to put in shrubs and add a pump station.
So the $29.50, that was more of an emergency, for the irrigation. And the $21.75 was to put the, plants around the back gate, equipment to screen that off. they also had to install, new equipment for the irrigation back there as well, the
Right.
pump back there as well.
Did we discuss that?
It was sent out via emails.
Yeah, I know, but we didn't vote, I mean, we didn't have, what I'm saying is that we should have gotten multiple quotes. That's probably.
We did, we got quotes from Yellowstone as well, and, theirs were much higher than, FLP. So we had FLP do the job.
Okay, just two quotes?
I think there was one other.
Yeah, because we should always get at least three.
Yep.
I can't recall, I'll have to look through.
Yeah, and we're talking about the back gates, the last time we were saying that it wasn't swinging properly. Did we get to check the specs on how the gates were supposed to be, if they were installed properly, or if they were coming backwards?
I've got, pictures I'm gonna send you. What happened, they installed the gate just on the right side only, which is okay, because you don't really need two pedestrian gates on that back gate working, or having a lock on it. So it helped to reduce the cost of only having one, but they did it on the side over by the equipment, and it should have been on the other side.
If I understand that, so the thing is, we were gonna pay to get something changed on it. The point is, if it wasn't done to spec, they need to fix it to spec. We paid them the full amount of the quote that included doing it properly, right?
Yes.
So we should go back there and make them fix it, no additional cost.
Yeah, it's working, but, what they did, they screened, so on the inside of the gate,
Mhm.
they put a piece of metal to block access to the lock. But on the outside of the gate is wide open. Now, I tried to use the screwdriver to pry it open and everything, and I couldn't. But it was identified as
Which
Go
gate are you
back,
talking
what-
about,
The
Doug?
back gate.
the back gate,
The back gate.
pedestrian.
There's two.
On the right hand side, as you look at the gate from
Okay,
this side.
the other day when I went through there, the left gate was just, you could open and close it, there's no
Right.
mechanism to keep it closed.
Yep, so we're gonna get it moved from the north side to the south side, and then we'll secure the north side with just a regular, combination lock.
So were we paying to move it, or?
We'll get them to move it.
Alright, so, cause when I keep going back, and I don't think I'm getting the gist of exactly what's going to happen. We had a spec, it had a quote on it for a certain amount of dollars, we paid that amount of dollars.
Mhm.
It wasn't done exactly to the spec, whether it's cheaper or not, we should have everything working exactly the way the spec called for, because we paid for it.
Correct. And we will.
At no additional
We'll-
cost.
We'll get them back out to fix that.
Okay, then I'm good. That's all I have. If anyone has questions, I'll try to answer.
Did I have anything?
Thank you, Lenny.
Nope. And CDs are good now?
Yes, she sent me a schedule of all of them, they're all, everything's in order and up to par.
Okay, and they're alternating, so.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, so my report is basically the Enviro update, so I can provide that now, or I can provide that, when we get to old business.
If you don't have anything other than that, then we can wait till we get to Enviro.
That's all I have.
Okay. Jack?
Okay, the meeting at the pool with the police had to be postponed due to a scheduling conflict. And hopefully it will be rescheduled in June when I have the information. I'll notify Mike and date and time will be posted, hopefully in June. Real quick, I had a meeting with a fiber optic company that provides bundled fiber optic services. I just did it out of courtesy because we met these people at the exhibition earlier this month. It's interesting, I forwarded limited information I had to Elliot. Elliot already came back with his take. The person who did the presentation is gonna send me a package with a proposal. I'm gonna give that to Elliot. Basically, it's a no-go. We had a meeting yesterday. I met with, Mike was there too. We did a walk around with Yellowstone to look at the front area, the front entrance area and common areas inside Regency Hills, including the pool parking lot, playground, and other areas further back so we could review the line-by-line proposal Yellowstone provided to, on the one hand, trim trees, and on the other hand, remove several trees, including at the front entrance, 4 oaks, several magnolia trees at the entrance and near the pool, and 2 diseased palm trees that are at the entrance. Also, branches hanging over the entrance and exit lanes will be trimmed, as well as in other areas of the community. And branches on both sides that are overhanging private property from common area trees are gonna be trimmed back. The arborist made it clear that they really can't trim back more than 25% of a branch without killing the whole thing and making it more dangerous. They're gonna come back with a more detailed proposal based on the walkthrough we did, identifying the exact trees and the exact work they need to do. They're gonna separate trimming from the actual tree removal, they're supposed to in the revamped proposal. And, hopefully we can get the trimming part of it done before the hurricane season really arrives in full force. And that's it.
Yeah, we're going to expedite the tree trimming portion while we obtain bids for
Yeah.
the tree removal.
That too, we're asking for other bids as well, when
Yeah.
we get their revamped proposal, so. we can
Yeah,
get our-
they're both entering cost, so we should get one for both.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll do that.
Okay. Vice President is not here tonight, so it is your turn, Mike.
Okay. The side and back pool gates are inoperative at this time. I've contacted American Night to have them identify the problem and correct it. And, message was sent out to the community to let them know the pool's still open, just those gates have been secured, for now. And American Night said it's probably gonna be next week by the time we can get out here. Yellowstone provided, a proposal for the annuals at the front entrance. They provided us 3 choices, and option 1 was approved, as the annuals will be planted next week. And talking to them the other day, they also talked about, the option 1 is a good pick because they'll be longer lasting, and they'll last us well into the fall, leading up to the holidays, where we can then put in, they'll propose some new replacements that might be more associated colors with the holiday season. So, they're also working on their 30, 60, 90-day plan to enhance the community's appearance. They already cleaned up, much of the debris from the front entrance and the pool parking lot area. They hauled away 26 bags of leaves that the previous landscapers just continued to blow into the bushes and leave them there. But they haven't cleaned up the total area until we do the tree maintenance work, get the ones removed, and they'll clean that out and remulch it, so it'll look even nicer. The visitor's license plate reader bracket at the front gate was hit on April 27th. That's why people that were previously receiving clearance into the community via license plate verification were not receiving clearance for a short while. But that's been repaired and it's back on. Unfortunately, when I tried to look at the stacking camera video for that night, there's a period where there's no camera. So there's no video available to really track down, who might have done that. Jack and I met with Safe Touch. They're the, company that bought out security, at the HOA Expo. And this is just part of our preparation for when, the contract with Envera starts to run out. We're looking at what options, what's available, technology, everything else, to improve the situation, with what we currently have, the situation with Envera. They just seem to be very slow, getting people cleared through the, kiosk into the community, so.
we saw that firsthand yesterday.
Yep, we did.
Plus people are coming in without being called. I've had several people show up at my house that they didn't call and they weren't on my list. And then I had a call last weekend where they had somebody out there and it wasn't even for me, it was for another house. But in any event, the question I have, I think it's good that we're doing that and looking at it, is have we looked at the contract to make sure it's not an evergreen contract with automatic renewals unless we give them so many days' notice?
October of 2026
That's when it ends.
is the contract expiration.
Right.
So they need to be advised, what, 90 days before?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you, does it stay in there that anything that if there's not automatic, if there's not notice within so many days, it automatically renew?
Yep, it's in the contract, I'll have to review
Yeah,
it
so
again.
we need to make sure we get notice prior to that time period.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, then,
Yep. Yeah, we'll evaluate other companies as well. You know, I already developed a list of requirements, things that we're looking for. And we'll start to get into that more earnest. And Tony's gonna cover much more with Invera.
Yeah.
But right now, what we're really looking to do is cure the situation,
I get it.
to where it works, for us.
Yeah, and I don't wanna jump to whatever it is that I'm jumping, but, when we do, besides everything detail that we want in there, we should insist on getting an SLA, service level agreement, that guarantees certain response times,
Yep.
certain up times.
kind of humorous, an Endura representative called me Tuesday to offer Endura services.
And we, you know, we've identified the situation, the problem where residents were saying they weren't getting called when somebody showed up at the gate to get in. You're gonna cover all that though, right? Okay, so I'll leave that for there. I went through the community today. We have 20 of the blue reflective road tags missing from the street. The majority of those were actually missing before the seal coating was even done.
Yeah.
So it's not like there was a reflective device there and then it popped off, because the spot is seal coated like everything else. So, we'll have to get, some of those ordered and reinstalled. I talked to, Chief Azell, and he said, yeah, they still use them, but it'll just, you know, it's a safety issue. And thanks to Mr. Neely for pointing that out. And we need to start the RFPs for the holiday lighting contract. We met with, TPG Lighting at the HOA Expo, and we'll get quotes from them, plus the company that we previously have used. They've already sent in a proposal, at the same cost as what it was for last year. But we'll reevaluate and see if that's.
Those TPG people also do the, general lighting stuff. Talk to them about that too.
Yep.
Posts, LED lighting and all that stuff.
Are there any other Christmas light companies that the association management company has used in the past that recommend we get quotes from?
The ones that I've worked with in the past, I wouldn't recommend.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
Okay, we're moving on to the committee reports. Joe, ARC,
ARC has nothing. We have no open requests,
no open requests?
Nope.
And the planning committee,
nothing.
nothing, okay. Thank you, Joe. Alright, old business is painting RFP. So you guys got my email that I sent it out to the 3 companies. We sent it to Harris Contracting, Access Maintenance, and Escamilla Painting. Escamilla is the only one that we've received. It was in the 30,000. So I did reach out to Vice Painting today as well. I spoke with a gentleman named Gene, sent him the RFP, so hopefully I'll have that within the next couple days, and I've also followed up with the other 2, waiting for responses. I will push that hard this coming week and try to get as many we get. Hopefully it's not Yeah, I
have
just,
his yet, but
There's one thing, there's no shortage of is painting companies, we should all find somebody that's more moderately priced.
well, Vice Painting is very known around, they go to the expos.
Yep.
That's why they're
So-
more expensive.
No, I haven't gotten anything from them yet.
yeah.
Oh, it will be, somebody less known with quality work is.
Oh, less known, okay.
With good reference.
I will
Oh,
do
yeah,
a Google
anybody-
search
Yeah.
for the area.
Well, we have, who do we have on there? Leo's and,
Leo's has not returned my call, I left, voicemails for Leo's and I haven't gotten anything back from them.
Yep, and I know from the past, we had, gotten quotes from Junior and Sons, but the problem that we ran into last year was Junior and Sons, wanted payment up front.
You won't do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can verify whether or not that's still the
Are they
case.
based out of Vermont,
Groveland.
Groveland?
Yep.
Okay, so the RFP for tennis and basketball courts repairs, you guys seen that, I sent that today. Mike is going to just look at it, let me know if there's anything else, and if there's nothing else you would like to be added, I will send that out.
Yeah, I looked at it, I wouldn't have any issues with it.
Okay.
I didn't have any issues either, but, real quick, one thing we did meet at the exhibition, we met a law firm, oddly enough, Morgan & Morgan, they now provide services to HOAs that get crummy work done by contractors and then get ghosted by the contractors.
Of course, Morgan and Morgan
And
is
they do,
jumping in
and
on
they do it, yeah, you know, we'll
associations.
sue anyone, anywhere, anytime. And they do it all on contingency.
Sounds like Morgan. Alrighty, so if that's all for the RFP for the tennis and basketball courts, your turn.
Alright, so on, May 16th, Mike and I we had a conference call with Envera representatives. So that included, David Nugent, who is the operations manager, Christopher Morris, who is the field service manager, and Kim Tarr, who is the senior account manager. The call lasted about an hour, and, the purpose of the call was to discuss the number of issues that we've had, ongoing issues related to the front and rear gates. And I had sent them an email that itemized a lot of the issues, starting in January through April. It included multiple occasions of barrier arms raising for unknown reasons. Issues occurred multiple times without gate strikes. Mike was on the phone with them for more than 20 minutes one day trying to resolve an issue, and root cause appeared to be a tripped relay, and they dispatched a tech for that. We've had multiple ISP outages, for the virtual gate guard, router, the audio video system, the back, gate. We've had multiple false gate alarm notifications, problems with the kiosk speaker and microphone. The gates opened due to the temporary outage that we received credit for. We've had multiple resident complaints regarding to not being contacted by the Envera virtual gate guard for granting access to visitors and vendors. And I also, part of the conversation was to request some sort of monthly reports on gate status and issues, and to put together an action plan. So out of the meeting, there were several things that came out of that. So, we had requested access, I didn't have access to the cameras, and some of the apps, that they have. So I had requested access, as well as getting training for Mike and I on reporting capabilities. I've gotten access, I'm working to schedule training with Stephanie from Envera. I don't know if I'm gonna get that scheduled for tomorrow or not, probably next week. So there's a couple of apps, my Envera for cameras access, another one called Linnell. I'm not sure what the app does. But I'm waiting for access for training, on that. Also, we had conversations about their, the applications for camera access. They've got AdPro. And previously, I guess it was communicated that, you had to have a Windows computer to be able to access it. Well, I don't use Windows, so, what we found out was they do have an app for, cell phones, mobile app, which works just fine, so they've provided the information for that, working on getting that set up. They've sent a couple of reports out to us. I've reviewed the reports. One of them is community events report that provides a summary of visitor interactions through the kiosk. So you were talking about, service times and SLAs. The statement in the email from them is they do have an SLA commitment that's, to answer 85% of transactions within 30 seconds. And for the report that they sent for April, their response, they achieved that rate of 93.28%. So they exceeded their SLA based on the reporting that they provided. They also provided an hourly report, for April, and which details the number of transactions per hour for each day of April. So, and I can share these reports with each of you so you can, take a look at those. So actions that we talked about, there's some actions, I think, for both sides, for Invera as well as for, Regency Hills, to take. And when I say Regency Hills, I mean the board as well as the residents. So just to kind of go down that list, so I will say that Invera emphasized their commitment to improve the services that they're providing. I was very clear on our dissatisfaction with, the service that we've gotten and the number of issues that we've had and the length of time to bring resolution to those issues. They're going to start doing a preventative maintenance program with quarterly inspections to resolve hardware and system issues, hopefully, before they happen. They're gonna start providing us monthly reports. We haven't identified what those reports are gonna be yet, because I'm waiting until I get all the access to the systems, so that I can determine what self-reporting I can get out of the system. No sense in them providing me reports that I can get myself. So in response to visitors and vendors being granted, access without verification, which is one of the things that you just mentioned. So the Invera system is configured to enter a bypass mode, to bypass verification based on wait times and queuing. So I'm not gonna make any changes to that right now while we're working through the problems to get them resolved. But there may be times when visitors are granted access without verification, and that's why. If the lines get backed up in an effort to keep the wait time to a minimum to allow visitors and vendors to the gate, it'll go into a bypass mode, and it will grant access without verification.
Is that configurable?
It is.
Do we know how long the wait time is before they go into that mode now? And
I didn't capture that. They did tell us. I don't remember what the time was. Cause I went back and I looked at my notes, and for whatever reason, I thought I had written that down, but I didn't capture that.
Yeah, I'll look at it and.
so we should know what it's set to, and what our options are. Maybe we just make it longer,
Yeah.
What we saw yesterday firsthand, we were with the arborist up front, in one instance, it was like 5 minutes that the guy was parked there waiting to get in.
Yeah, we hosted folks at our house recently for an event, and we had a number of people that had trouble getting through. So it was right before this call, so provided lots of, evidence to the issues we're having. There are some suggestions from Envera on some of the issues. So we've had a number of residents that have complained that they're not getting the phone calls from the virtual gate guard. Envera is committed to work with the cell providers, to try and make sure that they're not on a spam list. One of the things, and there was an email blast that went out on May 21st related to that. There was also a request, some of the complaints, some of the residents that we received complaints from only had one phone number on record. And Envera has requested that if we can communicate to the residents, if they have a secondary phone number, they put on there to add a secondary phone number. They've also suggested that we add or have residents add their 877 number to their contacts list. I've done that, did that a long time ago when we first moved in. I haven't had an issue, but I'm not saying that that's gonna fix anything for anybody, but those are some suggestions. The other suggestion was, all the residents have access to the My Envera app, and it's fully configurable for residents to put in visitors, whether they're temporary visitors or permanent, visitors, vendors, whatever. If residents will do that, that will eliminate the virtual gate guard from even needing to call the primary or secondary phone numbers. Rarely do we get a phone call from the very virtual gate guard for somebody that we have on the list. Occasionally, we've had problems with the kiosk speaker and the microphone, and possibly the agent doesn't understand the visitor that's announcing their name and who they're coming to see. And that may be the reason why we've gotten phone calls. Not sure, can't really explain that. But what I will say, it's rare when we get a phone call, because we always go into the app and add. So, those are the things that came out of it. I'm gonna reach back out to Envera to work on what the schedule's gonna be for the preventative maintenance and quarterly inspections. I need to follow up with them on how the credit was calculated. To your point, it looked like it was only for 50% credit, and I think we were out of service for a month. So I'm not exactly sure how the credit was calculated, so I wanna get that information.
Yeah, so part of the issue there is they were still providing service as far as, monitoring the pool overnight and things like that. So it wasn't all of their service that wasn't available.
But the majority of the cost of our service is a virtual gate guard.
And that was 3 weeks worth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it was, it felt like it was longer, but,
Yeah.
sometimes the things are painful, it seems like it's a lot longer.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think so the temporary outage started on, I didn't put the date on here correctly,
It was March 3rd or?
So I think it was March 12th, and I think we received notification that it was actively being restored on April 3rd. So I don't know how many days after April 3rd where we got full service back. But, that's 3 weeks. So.
Yeah, and piggybacking also on some of the things that we can do, to hopefully, it's kind of, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Envera has capabilities out there that, like Tony was saying, if you do all these things, you're mitigating the number of issues that you could potentially have. And unfortunately, this whole thing with the telephone calls being shut off by the cell providers. You know, they made some changes, and, we asked Embarra to bird dog that to try and eliminate that as an issue. But I think we can provide, better instructions to the residents on how to take all these steps, do all these things. And if you do all that, then you're much likely to have problems.
I think we need, I mean, we talked about this with Embarra, and they have some content that they can provide us, and I think we need to craft a carefully worded email blast or letter that's physically mailed, whatever, that provides the residents with all the steps that they can do to minimize, the impacts of this. Adding the primary and secondary numbers, adding the resident, the visitors, vendors to the visitor list, to the MyVera app or their website. Just put it all in one email, or one communication, so that, and make sure, we need to just make sure it's very clear and concise, and, with information of who they can contact if they have questions concerning any of it.
Quick question, we have an FAQ, the Regency Hills FAQ for beginners. Do we provide that to, new residents, new homeowners and stuff when they come in?
I would have to ask the closings department, but I don't believe so.
Okay, cause some of the instructions are in there of how to do.
Yeah, it makes a difference. All my regular visitors are on the list, they don't have a problem.
Yep.
It's just with a pure person coming one time.
Right, and the other thing.
I add those too. If they're coming one time, I put them in the visitor list, but they're temporary and they're for a 1 hour period or a 4 hour period or for that day, whatever. And then it's temporary, then after that period, they're removed from the site.
Yep. And we're also, in our requirements analysis for future, gate systems, we're looking at how to minimize the requirement for that virtual gate guard. So for instance, if people can pull up and scan their driver's license, or if they have a QR code that's been provided to them by the resident, they can just hold it up there, it scans it, and the gate's open. But we still have the issue where people get cleared to go in while the resident is coming up. Wish we had a wider area, we could fix that gate, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay, I'll email you these,
Perfect.
so you can have it for the minutes.
Thank you. Alrighty, so we can move on to new business, which is the ACB charter.
Okay, so we've developed a draft, architectural control board charter. ACD is the official language in the governing documents, for the, architectural control board. And what the charter does is it provides instructions on how the ACD conducts itself. And I don't know if y'all had a chance, I think everybody's had a chance to look at it and provide comments to it. Does anybody have any questions about it so far? I got your comments in. So if there's no objections, I'll go ahead and make a motion to, accept the ACD charter as it stands.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay,
The next on your agenda is the fines committee.
okay, so, one of the issues that we run into is the, people were added to the fines committee that, let me back up. The board has oversight over all committees associated with the association. And, there were people that were added to the, fines committee that we never knew, never heard about until it came up at the last meeting. So, what we're doing, we're gonna suspend the fines committee, or I'm suggesting we suspend the fines committee for now because of how it was constructed. And we're talking with the attorney as to whether we actually need a fines committee. Because what we can do is, the management company can work with the attorney, to take care of that business. So we don't have to construct a fines committee made up of, mostly residents, within the community that are then going to be, having to, pass judgment on other neighbors.
Yes,
so to
you
say.
know, the fines committee is one of, I mean, we've always had a ACB or ARB committee. Fines committee was one of those optional committees. Over
Yep.
the course of the history of this association, we have put it in and taken it out several times. Initially, when it came over, there was no fines committee, and it was put on, and it was canceled, and it was gone for several years, and it was put back, you know, and so we've operated both ways.
Yep. Yeah, we, you know, we'll still have the ability to, take corrective measures for people that are in violation, that aren't responding appropriately and fixing or curing the violation, so to say. But, yeah, so I think for now, we'll suspend it, we'll talk about it, and, review it again with the attorney as to what will the procedures be, what are the advantages, disadvantages, and, we'll decide next month, what we wanna do with that.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm recommending that we go ahead and,
Now, I'll tell you, when it was decided
Yeah.
to put it back on, just so clarity to everybody, I'm not saying pro or con, which way we should go, but it was canceled at one point because it became very difficult to run, it created more hardship than it benefited, but then it was added back because it was thought that without it, we didn't have as much teeth in enforcing issues. And so it was about the enforcement ability. And so whichever way we go, we just need to make sure that we can properly, I guess, deal with situations into the best interest of the Regency adults.
I agree. And I think, we also want to look at, okay, what do we do to help the residents understand, the importance of taking care of their property, what they need to do, how they can do it. We can look at, you know, for instance, the pressure washer that we use, that the association uses for the common grounds, also offers a pretty good deal for pressure washing, you know, resident sidewalks, at a good price. So there's a number of things that, proactively, we can try and convince people to take good care of their property, and property values go up. So that's the, hopefully that'll be more of the emphasis. So for now, I'll go ahead and make a motion to suspend the fine committee, while we reevaluate over the course of the next month.
Do I hear a second?
Well, before, second,
Yep.
I just want to give a real chance if there's any discussion or opinions.
I don't have any additional.
Okay, fair enough, I just don't want to, you know.
No, okay, that's fine.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we can move along to the open forum for the 3 minutes for each member to speak on agenda items. If you have anything on, outside of the agenda items, you are more than welcome to message through your Vansica portal. So whenever, we'll take a raise of hands on who would like to speak.
I'll go, I
Okay.
guess, yeah, sure. Joe Gallagher, 4561 Barrister. So the ARC charter, I didn't really get a chance to read over it. Does it contradict anything in our declaration of restrictions? Or is it just kind of,
It's the ground rules for the committee.
does it contradict anything in our declaration of restriction?
When I read it, I didn't see any contradiction.
No,
No
we had
con-
the attorney, we had
And
the
I,
attorney.
and I read it from the
review.
viewpoint of the ARC. I
Okay,
didn't see any
just,
contradiction.
no, that's fine,
But
that's fine,
if you-
no.
If you think there is.
I didn't really get a
I'm
chance
happy
to read it
talk
too
to you
well,
about it.
so I
We
didn't.
also had it reviewed by the attorney, so it doesn't contradict anything,
It's great.
of the-
Perfect, okay, so no contradiction, you guys are all in agreement since you guys adopted it, okay. That's fine. Fine committee, listen, get rid of it. It's useless. You guys don't fine anybody. I've seen your violation reports. They're useless. You don't fine anybody. It doesn't happen in this community. And when you do, you give the fine committee such bogus information. Like, you wanna talk about, oh, we're fining them for weeds, but we stated a different guideline. Like, it's useless. It's just useless. So, we don't violate people. You send them a bunch of letters, you spend a bunch of money. It's great, it's great. You don't fine people. You don't. And when you do, when you really put that hammer down to some guy that's, just across the street, when you finally do put that hammer down, you give us all the wrong information. And so, it doesn't do us any good. You're not finding anybody, you're sending a bunch of letters. Most residents are aware of that, and if they aren't, they will be, but I mean, it's useless. So if you took it seriously, the fine committee could be a great thing. If you took your violations and your violation letters seriously, it could be a great thing. Could make the community look amazing, but you guys don't care. You just we're just gonna send a letter, send another letter, send another letter. It's useless. Useless. So, I know, listen, Axis has been with us since July. One fine, in almost 12 months. Everybody must be perfect in Regency Hills. So, I ain't worried, get rid of the fine committee. Nobody wants to be on it, so. We had 3 good people who wanted to be on it, but that's fine. I'm good with it. Get rid of it, please.
Okay,
I'm
anyone
done.
else?
I'll go. 2 things on your management report, since it was on the agenda. It's incorrect. We dismissed the fine because it was already corrected. All right?
It was
The
not
fine.
corrected, but okay.
No, the lawn was cut, manager. The lawn was cut, and we have pictures to show it. It's in your 3rd picture that the lawn was cut. The fine that you gave us it was over 6 inches. The lawn was cut and it was not over 6 inches. So that's why we dismissed it. All right, as for the pool, all right, Michael, you said you know the chief Izell real well. You should be calling him up, because when you have a gate locked, the pool has to be shut down. You know this because you were my vice president when you had that problem. All right, Katie put out an email, which jeopardizes the community now, saying the pool is operational, all right, with 2 gates locked. If the fire department comes in here, looks at the 2 gates that are locked, you're looking at a fine. The front gate is still open, so if a little infant walks in there with that gate open and drowns, we're getting sued. So I would advise you to lock that gate and get Barrett or somebody to fix those gates quick before we get a lawsuit. You guys said on the record, and we have it recorded, that it doesn't contradict the ACB. Okay, well, I wanna see this charter. So, my question to the manager, when is this gonna be posted, this charter?
I will post it tomorrow,
That's what you said last time, so I hope you're gonna hold yourself to it.
of course.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And then with the fine being suspended, like I said, the fines, you're incorrect, Mr. President, because it was said and was at the minutes. I was added to it, Sue Cordova was added to it, and that's when we added the alternate. We had a problem, we couldn't get people. When we had the fine committee going to Slayton, the lawns looked like crap. Once we started with the fine committee, the neighborhood started looking beautiful. We had more compliments. The hardest part was getting people on the fine committee. That's the end of my report. Thank you very much, and have a blessed evening.
Mike Lake, 4500 Beresford Drive.
4,500.
Yeah.
We have a lot of friends over at Legends community, and I don't believe they have a fine committee, and they've never had one. And that community is gorgeous. So it doesn't need that type of board to get your community to look the way you want it to look. not necessary. It works in other communities without fine committee. And like you guys said, the attorneys can handle that.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone else? No? Okay, so with that, the next meeting date is June 26th at 7 PM, room 7. And we are ready for adjournment.
Anybody have any?
Okay,
Okay.
Mike, you're gonna make a motion, Anthony, to adjourn at 8:01 PM?
Hmm?
And Jack,
Well, hey,
second.
listen,
Thank you.
We're gonna pay for it, anyway, so.